up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are headed back to the 1800s, traversing through nature and finding a true friend in First Cow.
A skilled cook has traveled west and joined a group of fur trappers in Oregon, though he only finds true connection with a Chinese immigrant also seeking his fortune. Soon the two collaborate on a successful business, as is the case with every single episode of our podcast. Spoilers are ahead for First Cow. This movie, I'm really excited to talk about this movie with you because I genuinely have no clue how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And I was talking with my wife about it, and I was like, I was telling her how I thought, and I was like, but I know you wouldn't like it. So like, I know that there's definitely like a hard divide possibly between people might love it or not like it. Yeah, I'm excited. This film is by Kelly Reichardt. And we're covering it because showing up, Kelly Reichardt's second A24 flick, has recently come out. We have not had the chance to see it yet, but we're hoping pretty soon. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it. Jinx.
Jinx. Yeah. I didn't want to call it, but Jinx.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see that. I mean, obviously we got Michelle Williams, but also Hong Chow, coming off of her great 2022, and Andre 3000. Shout out to all the Outkast fans out there. I love Dude.
Andre 3000 making another A24 appearance.
Yeah.
Shout out High Life, you know?
Or fans of Four Brothers with Mark Wahlberg, if anyone's seen that.
Okay, I want to start with overall thoughts on First Cow. I do just want to shout out John Magaro is in this movie. We're going to talk about John Magaro the more we get into this pod. We are going to do an A1 act for John Magaro in a lot more things than I thought, at least. I love John Magaro. I'm just going to get that out of the way. I think that is definitely going to dictate how I feel about this movie and how I rate it and connect with it. But this guy is great. Like, if you don't know movies that he's in, we'll talk about it. But I just wanted to give out John Magaro a shout out real quick. And then Cookie. So his nickname is Cookie.
Mm-hmm.
He has a real name that I can't recall, but I just wanted to get your take. Like, nickname hierarchy. Like, where does Cookie sit for you?
I don't know, man. It's really kind of a weird nickname. Like it made me think of, if anyone's familiar with Mitch Hedberg, the comedian, he does this joke about talking about like, kitchen appliance namer, it's just like that job's super easy because you just say what it is, then add at the end. He's like, that's a refrigerator. I'm going on break. It's like you just say what it is and add And that's kind of how I felt about this. Like you just say what the person does and add E at the end. Like, oh, that's Cookie. That's Trappy. That's Shooty, like that's Guidey. I don't know. It's just like, but I mean, it's also the 1800s. Like they probably weren't like coming up with super great nicknames back then. So, I mean, but it also just means like, how many cookies are there? Like, does every group have a cookie? I don't know, but
so many.
I was surprised, like, just for him to just continue to be called that throughout the whole movie. But I mean, I guess, you got to accept it.
I think definitely in the 1800s, I think it definitely ranks pretty high. Like, I would rather be named Cookie than Trappy or Guidey or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in 2023, like, I got to be honest, fuck shit, still the best movie nickname. Out there. Cookie, not even close. Like, we're just, come on, you're just a cook and Cookie. That's not that great.
No.
Okay. This movie is shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio, very, very filmic texture, very grainy. I loved it a lot. I had a pretty good time with this movie. I didn't have a stellar time, but I had a pretty good time. What did you think of First Cow overall?
I enjoyed it. I had a good time. This is a prime example of a movie that I probably never would have watched if it didn't fall into like my podcast life, like it's just like, oh yeah, I need to watch this for the pod. So I'll watch it. And I'm glad for that sake. Cause it's just like, I had no idea. Like I had seen the trailer and I still had no idea what the movie was about. Like I thought they were taking the cow. Like I thought that was the movie. It was like they were like taking the cow around or something. I had no clue. So when that didn't happen, I'm like, oh wait, okay, this is not what I was expecting. And I had to break it up into two viewing sessions. And it's funny because I think I broke it up like exactly at the point of like conflict.
Pre-cow, post-cow. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, well, it was like at an hour and 20 minutes in. So it's after the dude asked him like, hey, will you make this dessert? Because I'm hosting someone. You know? And so this whole time, like, it's just been the slowest of slow burns, which is like fine. You know what I mean? But there's stuff that we see where it's just like you watch someone do an entire process, whereas like other movies would be like, okay, that person's like whittling right now, like we're just gonna watch it real quick, we'll cut to it, you know what they're doing. And then I don't think anyone actually whittles in this movie. I don't know why I said that, but it's just like we would stick with them in your forever. Free time, Ben?
Big Whittly. On whittling?
Whittly, that's my name. I'm Whittly. But there's like the dude, I mean, obviously getting far ahead, but like when he gets saved by those people and the man that saves him, it's like he's doing whatever traditional version of like Tai Chi. Maybe it is Tai Chi, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like we just watch him go through the like 6 motions, you know, like doing the whole thing. And again, it's like any other movie would have shown us like maybe 1.5. It's like, okay, we get it. Yeah. That's what that guy's doing. But I love that about this movie is that like there's a lot of great long kind of panning shots, like one takes, and just like, we're just going to move with them and we're not going to cut. So I enjoyed that. All that to say though, like I came home and me and my partner asked how it was or whatever. I'm like, it's good. It's just like slow. Like I don't know. He was a cook. He ran into some dude and like gave him clothes and shelter. Then he ran to the dude again later, but this time the other steal a better situation. So he helps him. And then they still steal milk and then like make money. Like that's it. That's all I'm at. You know, it's like nothing's happened yet, whatever. And so then like I turn it on with her to finish it. It's just like all of a sudden there's like guns and there's chasing, like, oh, okay, this is finally like action or whatever, you know. But even then it's not super fast paced or anything, but it's like, okay, now we've got conflict finally. You know, I kept waiting for them to get caught, like when they were stealing all that milk. Like, oh yeah, when the fuck, they've got to get caught at some point. Like there's nothing happening here. So everything you said though, spot on. Like I love the 4:3 aspect ratio. I really enjoyed just the texture that they kind of created. I assume, was this shot in Oregon? I feel like she shoots a lot of her stuff up there.
I would assume so. I know Showing Up, takes place in Portland as like per the movie. So I do think Kelly Reichardt like is a local to the Portland, Oregon area.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So made it look beautiful. Also cool. It's like, you know, starting out in the modern times and then just like cutting back and just kind of like leading you up. Like, this is where we're going to end up. So now come with us on this ride and we'll see how we got here. You know, a version of the record scratch freeze frame. Like, hey, you're probably wondering how I ended up as 2 skeletons in the ground. Like, stay with us and watch this.
The comedy version of this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Got myself in a pickle and here I am dead. But the only other thing I wanted to comment is there were some people, I don't know where I read this. I think it was probably on Twitter and I don't know who to credit it to, but talking about period pieces. And there's sometimes when people's faces just don't fit for the time. You know, it's just like, oh no. And the way that they described it is you look at someone and you're like, they know what a text message is. Like that person right there has seen a text message, you know, and it's like, it's true. We're just like, no, that person knows what a cell phone is for sure. You know, but it's like our 2 leads here, I think they fit in perfectly, you know, but there were a couple people that showed up and I was like, no, that person's like gotten a text message before. Like this person does not fit here. And it's hard to do. Like I'm not a casting agent or anything like that, but that was the only thing that really kind of took me out of it. Is some of these people just definitely felt like, you know, they were born in the 90s and not the 1790s or whatever. But
hard
overall,
to find people born in the 1790s, you know.
It's rough,
tough as a casting director, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a real one-way conversation with them for sure. So overall though, stoked that we watched it. Like this is a great example of why I'm glad we're doing this pod.
I'm very much in the same boat. I think that the slow, methodic nature of the movie is a very big strong suit to the movie. I think Kelly Reichardt is absolutely mesmerizing at capturing not only nature, but like the outside forces that humans bring into their surroundings, and especially in the 1800s, right? And especially like how big that plays. And I think the overall themes of the movie I mean, the really big ones, right, of like friendship and like found compassion in somebody else, and most definitely and most obviously and most clearly, you know, being able to capitalize on an opportunity. And if that opportunity presents itself when it hasn't before, you literally need to wring every single drop out of that opportunity, even if it's exceptionally risky. And I think that's what we see play out between these two guys, stealing the milk and making the oily cakes and really kind of starting a business for themselves, only to nearly get caught, go on the run, go on the chase, and then find their way back to each other, luckily. And, you know, I think the slow build, that simmer until we do get to that conflict, really pays off. And I know when I was watching it, it was definitely of the mindset of like, okay, this is a pretty slow movie. Like, I don't know if this is, because, you know, I had other movies on my watch list next for the pod, for other pods, for like in general, that were definitely more current, more action-packed, more fast, where it was just like, okay, maybe this is like, maybe that's the mood that I'm in right now. But after thinking about First Cow for a couple of days, like, wow, that was a very beautiful movie. That was very, very well shot, very beautiful. Love sitting with people just doing things. That's just life. And that's exactly what this movie is able to portray. I think the score is quite excellent. Ever since, you know, my conversation with Bobby Kralik, I'm way more tuned in to the score of like a setting of something. And this, especially being in the 1800s, is really impressive. One thing that I wanted to call out, and I had read, which kind of sparked my interest in this, is when you're watching this movie, we're so invested in Cookie and King Lou, like the two main characters, right?
Yeah.
But they get to this village, and you mentioned, you know, we see somebody doing some Tai Chi. He's picked up by a group of people. We don't really know anything about it. We know that, you know, Toby Jones's character is kind of part of a higher class of society. There's a dude with a pet crow that's just like hanging around the town. I think there's a lot in the details that make this movie very captivating to watch, because you just think about like, okay, we've seen Cookie and King Lou and how they start this oily cakes business, and the small conversations that they've had while fishing of like, I'd love to open a hotel. And King Lou even like talking to himself, saying like, there's so much competition, but there also needs to be a hotel for regular travelers. And like, he's working through this process, and we see every single second of it. But we have no idea how this guy has a pet crow. And I think that's really interesting. Like, he has his own story that like could totally be his own thing, that really adds an elevated layer to exactly what we're watching. So I like this movie quite a lot. I wanted to ask you, we get two jokes from Cookie in this movie. I want to know what you think the better joke is. Okay, I'm not going to give the delivery like Cookie does. I got to be honest, he does a pretty good delivery, I think, of both of them. But I need to know. So joke number one, which side of the tree has more branches? The outside. I thought that was pretty good. Did catch me off guard. I will say, like, the two jokes, I was like, oh, wow, he's a normal, not that he's not a normal guy, but like, oh, I don't know. I just like felt really connected, you know, oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. Like, good for you, dude. Like, you're stealing milk and feeding the guy that you're stealing milk from the things that you're making with the milk, and like, you're just cracking jokes. Good for you, you know? Or joke number two, why is a baker like a beggar? Because they both need bread. But which one do you like better?
I'm a branches dude. Like, I thought that one was super funny. I think it caught me off guard because he asked him that joke while they're hiding the money in the tree. And I took the question as like a literal question, like, which side of the tree has more branches? Too. Like,
I thought he was trying to like decide where we're going to go. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, oh yeah, it's a good question. Like, how's it going to be more secure? And then he like gives a punchline. I was like, God damn it. Like, that totally caught me off guard. So I think because of that one's probably my favorite.
I will say, in any future podcast or any future movie conversation, any article that you see, any TikTok or YouTube video that you see, if you really want to try and impress people that are like, here are the best heist movies that are ever made. I dare you to put First Cow on the list,
Okay.
because I would reckon, I wouldn't say it's one of the best. Obviously, there's so many good ones out there, but I will say I think it qualifies as like a pretty good heist movie. They've got to steal the milk, and then they've got to run away. They've got to work their way back to finding the money. It has all of the elements of like a very classic heist movie, and I can almost guarantee you nobody is gonna say First Cow is a heist movie. So if you just want to, if you really want to come across like a film bro, that might be your chance to do so.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that's I think it's a good like stealing movie, and I guess it is like I always picture a heist as like there's a big plan beforehand, and I feel like their plan was just like, let's walk over and get the milk. I did like King Lou's questions of just like, can they give milk at night? Like just like having no experience with cows or anything like that, and just like point blank asking like, okay, can we solve this? Can we solve this? So in that sense, like it is kind of like the heist of like, these are the problems we might face. Can we solve them? Like, yes. All right, cool. Then let's move forward with it. So yeah, I'm not going to push back on that. I want to see that in your next article. I want you to top 10 heist movies. Throw it in there, even if it's at number 10. But I want to see it in there. Top
10 heist movies. First Cow going on the list.
First Cow.
You bet. I will say some of my favorite parts of the movie were when Cookie was milking the cow at night, and the conversation that Cookie had with this cow. You know, the cow very representative of opportunity and society, and so many important things, because it is the first cow that kind of comes over before the land is kind of inundated with cows. And I think it's obviously very important. It's mentioned a couple of times that this cow loses her husband and her calves traveling to Oregon, which again, like very symbolic of Cookie and of King Lou, and how they kind of cross paths with each other. I just love how sincere and honest he is with the cow, of like, you know, hello, how are you doing, and how's it going, and like having a conversation.
I'm sorry about your husband. I'm sorry, like, and your kids. It's just like having a sincere conversation.
So sad. The movie definitely had more tension than I anticipated as well. Like the scene when they all go to the cow, and and the cow starts like hanging around Cookie, and I was just like, like this, this is happening. We're doing this. Let's dig into the true cinema, so we can start going through this. I've got the intro, the dog digging up the skeletons. I had read, the log line, like, hey, this is a movie in the 1800s, and I had seen the trailer. I was really confused when I watched the first like 4 minutes, and the actress who plays in that role,
Aaliyah Shawkat.
Aaliyah Shawkat. She's normally like in comedies, and I know her to be funny, and so I was really thrown off, dude. Really thrown off.
Yeah. No, it was cool to see her. It threw me off too at first, because I mean, we saw that big like barge, that ship going through, and it's like, damn, they had those back then. Like, that's,
me too.
Like my time, like I do not understand history at all, because like I did not think they had that. Like, that's nuts. And then like the other thing that threw me off was her beanie. It's like, man, they really knew how to do this shit. I had no clue.
I saw her clothes and I was like, damn, they had fashion back then. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it took me a sec. I'm like, oh no, you're dumb. That's it's a modern day thing, and we're gonna do a flashback. So I'm glad to know I wasn't the only one that was like kind of second guessing it.
Okay, thank goodness. Yeah, I was worried. I was like, sometimes when things like that happen in movies, I have like a split second where I'm like, did I click on the right movie?
Yeah.
Did it skip a part possibly? Like, is it misaligned? Like, did the streaming service get something wrong? Did I hit a button? But no, we're all good to go. It does open with a modern day bone hunt. Next on the list, discovering King Lou naked, feeding him, saving him, exceptionally intricate moments with them, and King Lou initially asking like, is the chef around? And Cookie saying yes, like, yes, he is. He's here. And even going so far as to like give him a place to rest and trying to transport him without any questions, really, without really wondering like who he is or anything. I did think it was a very powerful introduction to that character. Yeah,
it was super cool. It let us know a lot about Cookie, because you don't know who the other person is. Like, it's like are they going to take me hostage when I say I'm the chef, or are they going to like attack me because they know I'm not someone with a gun? Like there's like chances that you take by doing that, but you can just tell, especially in that moment, it's like, oh, he's a kind of a pure dude. Like he is what you think he is, up front. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was great.
Next one on the list is reuniting with King Lu in the bar. So they go their separate ways. King Lu is able to kind of swim down river and do his own thing. And then they reconvene once Cookie has made it to the settlement and King Lu is in the bar. And in this situation, King Lu is definitely better off. Has money, has a place a mile down the road. Cookie is asked to watch a baby and just abandons it, just calls it, and is just like, fuck that, I'm going to hang out with my friend, which, the ball's on you, dude. Good for you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he's watching the baby for someone who was like going to start a fight. It's like, I would not leave that person's baby, it's like, you're next, he's going to come after you. But I thought that was the first moment of like, what's going to happen here? Because something's got to happen. And nope, just baby must have been fine, I guess. Like, just moving on,
Good to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stealing the milk from the cow for the very first time at night, and them kind of coming up with their heist plan, if you will, of King Lu being in the tree, and I'll hoot like an owl if I do see anybody. And Cookie definitely nervous, definitely on edge to kind of go do that, because this idea of stealing the milk and making buttermilk biscuits, right? These oily cakes with milk, was his idea. He is kind of the commerce man that is interested from day one of like, hey, if we can ship, these glands and these oils and these pelts back to China, we'll make a ton of money. But how do we do that? We don't have any opportunity. And to have that opportunity and that step forward, you generally have to, be either gifted it, be born into it, or steal. And he very clearly mentions that. And that's kind of the path that they go down. We get our first conversation that Cookie has with the cow, which again, just delightful. And, good looking cow, I guess. I don't know. Seems to come from good bloodlines.
Yeah, that's what we hear. I guess it's pretty solid.
Word on the street.
Yeah, word on the street. Yeah, that is a good cow. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool scene. Like we just talked about it, but again, like his connection with the cow. It's almost like he's like, I don't know, saying thank you, or just, this is for a good reason. I don't want you to think we're taking advantage or anything like that. So just again, it kind of speaks to his nature.
Serving the chief factor in oily cake, Toby Jones just showing up, kind of serving it for like the two scenes that he's in, and then just going away. I thought his, not necessarily monologue, but his interaction with Cookie and King Lu of like, this cake reminds me of London. Like I taste London in this cake.
Yeah.
He said that, and that was a moment for me where I didn't tear up, but I was just like, oh my God, like you taste London. That is incredible. Like they were able to make this thing from nature, from what Cookie knows, from what he was indentured to and taught and learned, and remind you of a past life that before you kind of traveled over here. I think it was really powerful. And Toby Jones, like he's not even on the top build. Like I'm looking at IMDb, he's not even on like the top build 15 or 20 or whatever. Like,
oh really? Oh.
I genuinely think maybe Kelly Reichardt like called him up, was like, you just come on over, show up for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like he was game.
Yeah. I mean, always cool to see him. I just think of like him and Philip Seymour Hoffman doing both of those Capote movies in the same year, and just how kind of, nuts that was. But also our dude Arnim Zola, from Captain America. Shout out to MCU.
Shout out.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was maybe the best compliment you could give someone. It's like, oh, this reminds me of like my childhood, or back home, whatever. It's like it's better than saying like, oh, this tastes great or whatever. So that was really interesting to see. And I somehow hadn't clocked that was his cow. So at the time I was like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But then I think that's when they go back in, and King Lou's like, we can't keep, like, he's got a palate, he's going to realize that's his milk. But nope, didn't happen. Not at all.
You can definitely see the tension between Cookie and King Lu while they're like while they're serving him an oily cake of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what if he does recognize it? Which I think is very telling. Next one, well, hold on. I want to talk logistics for just a brief second because they made a shit ton of money. People were like seeing who could pay the most for the last oily cake. And eventually, I believe they were selling them for like 15 shillings a piece. I think they started out at like 2 or 3, and they were selling them for like 15 silver pieces or something a piece. And frankly, I didn't think that they were going to charge him at all, chief actor.
Same.
But then King Lou's like 10 for you. We'll make it 10. And I was like, wow, dude, you're going for it. Okay. So they must have cleaned up, right? Like they made a ton of money.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there was one part where Cookie's holding up, I don't even know how much money, but like, this will buy us an acre in San Francisco. It's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, if you've got that and we see all the other money on the table, like you guys are doing fine for sure. Yeah.
King Lou falling out of the tree, beginning the run. This is kind of the moment that we do shift into a more action-oriented storyline, that they end up going their separate ways and end up, dissipating from each other. Cookie gets a head injury, gets picked up by a group of natives and doesn't really know where he is. And I thought that was going to be the end for Cookie. I was like, that sucks. Like, my dude's going to die alone. Like, that blows, But they end up getting reunited at their house after it's been raided just terribly. And they come back to each other, and Cookie is essentially dying, I think, on their journey to the port. And then we kind of get this final moment with both of them laying down together, speaking to each other. And King Lou says, "I got you," to Cookie, and they just kind of rest. I'm really curious what your interpretation of that ending was, and in connection to obviously what we see in the first few minutes of these bones that are buried together.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, what happened there. Like, if the kid, because we see that kid earlier where someone cuts him in line and he doesn't get an oily cake.
Yeah.
So I thought that was going to come back, but I didn't know in which way. If like he would see them and let them go because it wasn't their fault he didn't get a cake, it was like someone else, or if he would hold it against them, that he didn't get one. I wasn't sure. Obviously, we don't know. But I just took it as, like Cookie was dying, and then he probably just like shot both of them and took the money, I would assume.
You think so? Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I just don't know why else King Lou would be there. Like, he didn't feel like he was on death's door, you know what I mean? Whereas Cookie, it was very clear. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but there was plenty of tension throughout all of this. Like, when that one dude is like peeing on the tree, and right above him is the bag of money just like hanging there, we just stay on this shot with him. It's like, if you just look up, there's a lot of money
rich man.
above you. Yeah, we have no idea. So you're right, there's a lot of suspense built into this movie. It was really well done.
Totally. I was definitely surprised at kind of how we elevated in the last 30 minutes to something that was totally different. There was one shot I wanted to call out. It's not my true cinema moment, but it does take place inside the house of Chief Factor. Cookie and King Lou go over there. Cookie is kind of the chef for the day. And again, a really interesting kind of conversation around this and subtext of Cookie being treated once again as like an indentured baker and someone of a lesser society, because Chief Factor just wants to use him to try to impress a different chief or a different captain. And I think there's a lot of very good conversation around that. But there's one shot in particular where the camera sways from like left to right in a room as we follow one of the people in the home, lighting a candle and moving it around and kind of cleaning up some dishes. And I was just mesmerized by that camera movement. I mean, it's not even particularly that special. We're just going back and forth, but it's so smooth and elegant, and it kind of feels like we're watching something we're maybe not like allowed to watch or like supposed to be seeing, because people are asleep and like it is the nighttime, and this is like when we should be watching Cookie and King Lou steal milk. Like, I'm really concerned about them, and we're not there. We're somewhere else. I thought that was a great scene. What's your true cinema moment?
I mean, you just kind of mentioned it. It is when they bring over that cake, starting just with that long kind of shot where we see them through the window in the back of the field, and like we just pan with them on the outside. Like we're inside the house and they're outside, so we don't see them, but like we pan with them as they come inside. And then really it's just that whole sequence, because again, Toby Jones is trying to like show off to the other chief dude, you know, he's like, hey, you want cream? Like I've got cream here, you know, like no one else does. And just trying to puff his chest a little bit. And then even all the way to the end where the other chief like makes some joke about like, oh, well, that's good because I'm sick of having salmon. And then like no one says anything. And he's like, oh, you can translate it for them. You know, it's like,
that was so funny.
But yeah, so good. So it's a long sequence, but I really enjoyed that. It just from both the storytelling aspect, but also the technical, like one shot panning, following, like it was a great shot.
In the house was really kind of pretty electric for the movie. I thought it was really quite good. I'm really curious. I'm gonna have to try to look through like all the cast and crew here to see, but I believe one of the natives in the house. Yes. Okay. It is indeed Lily Gladstone, who is going to be in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Which I clocked that and I was like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure she's in Killers of the Flower Moon. She's not really in this movie for, you know, any substantial amount of time, but, I liked her performance. I think for me, it's really, when they first start the oily cake business, it's really kind of that first maybe 5 or 6 or 7 minutes where they figure it out, they make the first batch, they sell out immediately. And then we kind of get maybe 5 to 10 minutes of them evolutionizing how they do this and how they can make more and how they set up at the shop and, you know, in the town square, and now they make them fresh. And there's one moment in particular where Cookie is pretty much in his head. He's figuring it out as they go. And as they go into the second, third day, he says something along the lines of, you know, we need some honey. It'd be really good with some honey. And it's just like, he's so consumed with that idea of like, I want these to be the best thing people have ever had. Yeah. And he's not so consumed with the consumerism aspect of it, right? How much are we going to charge? How much can we make? Like, what's our profits? That's King Lou. He is really concerned about baking a very good oily cake. And I think that is so just wonderful and true about like his personality and his character and who he is. And I thought it was very sweet, and that you can tell by the way that John Magaro plays this character, he is so invested in that world, and that's what he cares about. And I think that was just like very joyful for me to watch. Speaking of John Magaro, let's do A1X for John Magaro, because, dude, so many more things than I thought. I was like, oh, cool, guys in like 4 movies. This is going to be an easy one. Dude's in like a ton of stuff. Let's do this. We've got First Cow, of course. The Box. I believe this is an older movie. Not older, but like 15 years ago or so, with Cameron Diaz. And I'm
that one?
Pretty sure I saw this in the theater. And if I remember correctly, when I saw this movie, I had to be like 15 or 16 or something. And I remember seeing this movie being like, that was a piece of shit. So I'm sure it's probably pretty bad. Hey, maybe it was great. I don't know. Listeners, call me out if it was actually really good. Captain Phillips, Unbroken, Carol, The Big Short, The Good Wife, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, The Umbrella Academy, The Many Saints of Newark, Showing Up, which we mentioned, another A24 movie that recently came out, Past Lives, an upcoming A24 movie, at least at time of recording, and then Big George Foreman, a movie that just recently came out as well. Definitely in a lot more things than I thought. So far, 3 A24 flicks. So John Magaro and A24, they got a thing going on here.
I like it.
What are you gonna pick?
So I've only actually seen like 3 things he's been in. It's this and Captain Phillips and The Big Short. But that's a lie.
I swear to God, Ben, if you just go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Well, here's what I am going to say. I actually have seen a 4th thing, and it is like the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Like I didn't finish it. It's the only movie I've never finished. Like I just turned it off because I couldn't continue to watch it anymore. So I didn't even realize he was in it. It's a movie called The Brave One from 2007 with Jodie Foster.
Oh yes, you've talked about this before. I'm haunted by this.
I can't, I've never finished it. I didn't realize he was in it. So
That
whatever the opposite of
bad?
an A1 act is what The Brave Ones is. But out of what I've seen, this is the first time I thought I saw him. I don't remember him in Captain Phillips or The Big Short. So I have to go with this one because this is, for me so far, his most memorable performance. I'm excited to revisit this after Showing Up and after Past Lives. I'd be kind of curious because I think those roles look kind of interesting, especially in Past Lives. But for now, it's gonna be First Cow.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. I think Past Lives has a very high potential of being very, very good. I think he's going to be pretty excellent in that. I'm just looking kind of through his filmography here. For me, and people who know me, and you probably know, there's really only one answer here. It's The Big Short. And truthfully, I just put him on the list so I could talk about The Big Short for 60 seconds because
I love it.
The movie fucking rules and nobody cares about it, and I don't understand it. I know Adam McKay can be a little bit divisive, and I know I'm higher on his storytelling style than a lot of other people are, but he plays Charlie Geller in The Big Short, who is a partner to a small capital firm that finds the bubble in the housing bubble just as it's kind of happening, and he is incredible in that movie. There's a very particular moment where he calls his mom and basically says the world is ending. You have to understand this. You have to figure this out. And he's lights out when it comes to comedy, and the way that Adam McKay tells that story, it gives him a lot of interaction, breaking the fourth wall and with the camera, and I think he's really, really good at that. So I recommend it. If you don't want to watch The Big Short as a whole, fuck you, but also you could just Google John Magaro Big Short Supercut. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure you could pick something out pretty good. Okay, next one, we're doing A1 Act, movies with the animals in the title. I think we've done movies with food in the title. Didn't we do this?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, this rings a bell because a lot of these, unfortunately or fortunately, double up as as animal and food.
Yeah,
I've got a pretty substantial list here from what I could find. My goal was to put so many on the list that you were out of non-list options. So we'll see if I did it. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't feel too confident about it based on the fact that you're not showing any emotion whatsoever.
Poker face, dude.
Oh, you've got me beat. Okay, here we go. Big Fish, Chicken Run, First Cow, obviously. Planet of the Apes, Snakes on a Plane, Anaconda, Alvin and the Chipmunks. Incredible list so far, honestly. Just ups and downs.
Heaters.
Cats and Dogs, Howard the Duck, The Lion King, Dog Day Afternoon. Wow, this is incredible. A Fish Called Wanda, Brother Bear, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Of Mice and Men, The Fly, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Kung Fu Panda, Teen Wolf, The Elephant Man, Black Sheep, The Pink Panther, Kangaroo Jack, Straw Dogs, The Butterfly Effect, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Reservoir Dogs, The Silence of the Lambs, The Deer Hunter, Groundhog Day, Dances with Wolves, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's
nice.
A very all-encompassing list. I didn't even count them. It feels like too many to count.
That's a lot.
Just give it to me. I didn't do it, did I?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
I'll go first. I just, let me down easy, Ben.
I will.
All right. It's tough, right? There's so many good movies here on this list. I think it'd be really hard not to go with Dog Day Afternoon, because it is so iconic, especially in the Al Pacino filmography. But for the movie it is, and the time that it did come out, obviously you've got Reservoir Dogs here, Tarantino's first. I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of good things to pick. I'm definitely gonna go. I'm gonna go with Dog Day Afternoon. I'm gonna send it. That's a great movie, and I think it's playing in 35mm in my local theater in a couple weeks. So I'll probably go see it. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I like that.
I'm excited.
Mine is going to be something that I saw multiple times in theaters as well. It may not be my actual choice, but it's in my head right now. And it is Spider-Man No Way Home.
God fucking damn it.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Spider-Man? How did I leave Spider-Man off the list? You're supposed to tell me these things.
I mean, dude, you're literally sitting behind a Batman picture. Like,
oh
I thought for
God,
sure you were going to go with
doing?
that. I don't know. I thought for sure that's what you're going to go with.
I'm changing my answer. I'm changing my answer to the Batman.
Oh,
let me see
God
the shirt.
it.
Let me see the shirt.
This was not planned, and I'm mad
there we
about
go.
it. And I'm mad about it.
All right. I appreciate you helping me out. Thanks for the support.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, maybe my real answer probably should be like Spider-Man 2, because that one's still like just one of my favorites. But I've been thinking a lot about, there's been a lot of discussion on Twitter about No Way Home versus Guardians 3 and stuff like that. It just feels like my two kids like don't make me pick. So yeah, I'm going with No Way Home. Spider-Man. Nice. Yep.
Spider-Man. Okay, we both went with comic book movies, even though there was some actual
so
really good films on the
there.
list.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Okay, A24 ranking for First Cow. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
No,
okay.
I'll go. I think this is really riding the line between A and B. So I think I'm going to do probably a B24 plus. B plus 24. I still don't really know how to say it when we add those, but that's what I'm going to go with. It's really, really good. It probably deserves an A minus, but I'm just going to go B plus. That's what I'm doing.
That's fair. That's fair. I think I gave Close, which we recorded last week, a B plus 24 or a B24 possibly. Yeah, this is tough because when you think about the A24 library, and I just recently created an A24 ranked like list on my Letterboxd of the now 62 A24 movies that I have seen. When ranking those and then putting them to like this letter rating, I think a B plus is like exactly where I have First Cow. Like if you're to divvy it out by like numbers,
yeah,
when you think of, at least for me, when I think of something that is an A24, I just connect a little bit more personally to it, and it is something that I would be pretty excited on a rewatch. First Cow is exceptionally good, a very meaningful, interesting, nuanced piece of art and film. But I don't necessarily know if there will ever be another time where I'm like, oh yeah, let's fire up First Cow. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with a B plus 24 as well. And I know that's not great podcast content to choose the same thing as you, but I think it is totally deserved. The more you sit on it and stew on it and think about it, I think the more that it gives you. And it is definitely a movie that stays with you. Like I said at the top of the pod, it's not for everybody. For sure. It's very slow. It's very meandering, but it is played with such nuance and passion that I think it helps in that department.
Yeah, I think that's a great assessment. Like that is kind of what kept it from an A for me, was just the rewatchability factor. It's like, I don't know what my desire is to rewatch this at all. Like it's really good. I would feel confident suggesting it to people, like with the caveat, like it's a slow burn, but like it's really well done. So I would have no problem. It's nothing I would really hesitate. But for myself, it's just like, I don't know, like I would throw on The Farewell or something. You know what I mean? Like if I was looking for, there's so many other things I would throw on again before I would watch this again. So that's where it's coming from. But yeah, I mean, still, I recommend it for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a recommend for me as well. I think if you're looking to get deeper into not just film, not just movies, but deeper into the A24 catalog, this is definitely one of those that should be kind of in the upper tier of things that you should hit first. Yeah. Next week on the pod, no idea what we're doing. We're recording this in advance. So truthfully, anything could be happening after this episode. We can't tell the future, unfortunately. So who knows? I don't know. I'm excited saying that because who knows when this is coming out? Yeah,
we have no idea what's happening. It's gonna be weird to like think back on it, like when that happened. So I'm categorizing it as the Vanderpump Rules finale just happened, and we're getting into the reunion. So if you're like me and have the Venn diagram of A24 fan, but also love Vanderpump Rules and Bravo, this is when we're recording this, so you'll be able to track that.
This is my Bravo connection for you. Molly and I have been watching Below Deck Sailing Yacht.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like 3 episodes every night. Like, my movie consumption has significantly slowed because I'm so addicted to this show now. And we had a very purposeful conversation the other night where Molly looked me in my eyes and said, "Do you think we should start the Vanderpump Rules?" And I was like, that's a lot of content. That is a lot of content. A lot of things to get into. We might, I don't know, but we're treading into the water with Bravo.
Nice. It is one of the best season 1s of any TV show, without a doubt. Like, it kicks off, like, it picked up for a reason. Like, it got picked up for a reason. Like, season 1, I mean, the first 2 seasons are legit. So, yeah.
Okay,
Molly, I support you. I support you, Molly. Do it.
We're gonna watch season 1, and then we'll do a Vanderpump Rules spinoff pod.
Cool. I love it. Let's just keep doing it. Let's keep making them.
Spinoff.
I love it. Yeah, but obviously those are our thoughts on First Cow. We both enjoyed it. We both would recommend it to anyone. If for some reason you've listened to this whole thing and you haven't seen it, cool. I go watch it. Like, it's pretty fun, and it's like a tight 2 hours. I think it's 2 hours and 1 minute or something.
Yeah,
like, it's great. So
it's good.
Check it out. We want to know what you guys think about First Cow. I know, like, we put some questions out there and people responded, but we'd love to hear what you guys think about the movie.
Yeah, we appreciate you responding on Twitter too. Yeah. Great call up, Ben. I accidentally tweeted out that this pod was going to be live a lot sooner than we thought it was going to be live, and whoever responded to our tweet, like, shout out. It was wonderful to hear your thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, genuinely, like, we love that. So, hit us up. We are on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at 24 minutes of A24. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can see my Robert Pattinson shirt that I bought way too early, like way before the movie came out, and I thought I was going to love it. You can see all that stuff, and you can see all the posters behind Ethan. So yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. And thanks again for your support. I'm Ben Lawhorn.
And I'm Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.